Hello. This week I'm taking a look at some high quality wines from the Central Otago region of New Zealand. So we're down in the South Island there, and this is Prophet's Rock Retrospect Pinot Noir 2017. Now, Prophet's Rock was established in 1999 by winemaker and owner Paul Pujol, and Paul had just returned to New Zealand at that stage from a period of 6 years travelling the world making wine in various other regions. So he'd been to the Languedoc, he'd been to Sancerre, he had spent time in Burgundy and in Alsace, and that's had quite a huge influence on his winemaking. He makes wine principally from two vineyards. So they have the Home Vineyard and the Rocky Point Vineyard. And Retrospect is a late release reserve wine that comes from a single plot of vines within the Home Vineyard. An edition of this was first released in 2010, and I believe this is the 7th release that they've done of this. And it's only released after 5 years aging in their cellars in perfect conditions. So it comes from a single small parcel, as I say, 7.5 hectares within the Home Vineyard. The site of the Home Vineyard is quite spectacular, actually. It's about 320 to 390 metres above the level of a valley. It's a steep glacial terrace, so high above the valley floor. And the soils here are somewhere in the region of 650,000 years old. And it's a really quite unique soil type here with clay and pedogenic lime, and along with that there's schist and quartz. But this particular plot, this 7.5 hectare plot that produces the Retrospect, there the depth of soil above the lime is only about 0.5 metre, which is significantly less than the rest of the vineyard. And that gives a wine with huge elegance that Paul felt needed time to really open and express itself, and that's why he chose to give this particular wine additional age prior to release. It's made from a single clone of Pinot Noir. It's planted on the eastern end of the terrace on the steep front face. This vineyard was certified organic the year following, but obviously would have been in conversion, so it would have been treated organically at the time that this had made, but wouldn't have been farmed organically for long enough to gain the certification at the stage that this wine is produced. So we're talking about a wine made with low yields, with careful selection going on in the vineyard. The fruit was all destemmed, but a large proportion of it was kept as whole berries during the fermentation. And fermentation went on with hand plunging to ensure the extraction was well managed. Fermentation went on with the indigenous yeasts that had made their way into the winery on the fruit. And the wine then aged for 17 months in oak, in French oak barrels, but old French oak barrels, so seasoned oak, not giving oak aromas to the wine or oak tannins, just allowing the tannins to stabilise better and for the wine to marry better. And the wine was eventually bottled without any filtration. In total, only 1,560 bottles were produced in the 2017 vintage. So let's have a look at it, shall we? I have to start by remarking on the dark pigmentation that the wine has, and yet at the same time, actually, it's not a deep dark. I mean, that's at best medium intensity. I can see through it quite well. There's a nice maturity. There's a very sort of slight oranging as I swirl that, but actually the depth of colour is held quite well to the rim. The wine says it's got 13.5% alcohol on, according to the label, and it does seem to be forming tears fairly readily on the side of the glass now. So let's have a look at the aroma, shall we? Oh, wow, that's wonderfully hedonistic and very typical of what I'm looking for from Central Otago. I mean, this particular wine's in the Bendigo sub-region, but we've got a really open, generous, ripe, black to purple, cherry sort of fruit there. It really is sort of so hedonistic. There are chocolatey notes to it, but actually there's that sort of juicy, lifted, dark fruit that's really jumping out of the glass there. That's powerful and impressive. And of course, there isn't the new oak element to rein it in. There's powerful fruit. So let's have a taste. On the palate, that's got a rich, velvety texture. There's a warmth coming from the alcohol. There's a ripeness, and it's that high-toned, quite lifted, black cherry, almost sort of dark plum to prune notes. There's that high ripeness sort of note coming through again, almost to the, as you get to the end of the black cherry spectrum, you start to get some sort of savoury notes where it's more concentrated, sort of black olive sort of flavours coming through there. There's quite a concentration on the mid palate. There's a sort of a weightiness to the wine. And it's medium to full bodied. The structure, there's a plentiful structure, but it's relatively supple. There is an initial sort of quite drying bite, but you get the velvetiness, and then you get past it, and there's this sort of, again, juicy, ebullient, ripe black fruit. And there's sufficient freshness that the finish has a lovely fresh note there. It leaves that sort of high-toned perfume of sort of cherries, rich floral notes, peonies, that sort of thing. There's plenty going on there. This is an impressive wine. And while this is already a mature wine at 5 years of age, I think the idea is that you could age this for another 10 years at least. You'll continue to get that sort of lovely smoothing of the texture and an opening of that sort of ripe, rich fruit, and probably the development of secondary notes as well coming onto those. And it's starting to develop more of those sort of savoury aromas. But there's a lovely intensity of fruit. I think that's a really enjoyable wine. So thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, do please press the like button. That would be fantastic. Consider sharing it with your friends if you think they'd be interested. Do also think about signing up and following us on YouTube. It would be great to have your support. Also, we'd love to hear your feedback. So if you've got any comments, please leave them in the comments box. Most importantly though, see if you can find some time and come and join us for another tasting in the very near future, won't you? Thanks again. Bye for now.